So we're now in East Bay, and it's in good company with Palm Beach and East Bay, and we're here with Allan. And what's your role here, Allan?
So my role currently is I look after all service and warranty for Australia and New Zealand. And I also work at our headquarters at Newport. And we liaise with the factory for owners, also the sales division as well. So a bit of everything.
Yep. So I met Allan first time at Blair Gary, and you were working with us on the 55 that was there, and that just spoke to me about the level of care that Palm Beach takes with their owners and across their brands. That you're willing to fly down or fly to your boats to help people out. That was pretty impressive. It's very much not a matter of here's the keys, see you later, best of luck. It's you're part of something.
Yeah,
you're part of a group.
We would love to have a service division in every place where there's Palm Beaches.
Yeah.
We go to New Zealand quite a lot. I'm off to Nelson in New Zealand at the end of this week. So it's just sort of part of the care that Mark wants every Palm Beach owner to have.
Yeah, right. So the East Bay, it looks very Palm Beach-esque because you've carried that through the boats, but you were saying that this is it's a different level of fit and finish, and what are we looking at?
Everything's finished to the same level across all three brands, Palm Beach, East Bay and Grand Banks. But this is aesthetically, at least from the outside, it's quite a bit different. So there's some similar lines, but when you look at the boat in profile and on the water, there is quite a marked difference between the Palm Beach, the East Bay and the GB. This is like the GB, it's a cabin up, so you get that more elevation. You've got the walk around side decks all the way. And the Palm Beach doesn't have that.
I can see she sits quite a bit higher in the water than the Palm Beach. So we've got that sort of cabin underneath us here, under our feet. So we've got a cabin below us here as well.
Engine room here, and then forward you step down into quite deep cabins.
That's what I must point out with these boats, is the engine rooms are always here. And the reason for that, I'm going to let you explain it to the...
50-50 weight distribution.
Correct.
Similar to a racing car. So there's a bit of sort of race boat philosophy in all of this. So the superstructures are all carbon fibre, one-piece resin fused, and it keeps the centre of gravity down. And we also have a full width fuel tank in front of the engines, so that our weight distribution's pretty even.
So it's all about ocean-going trim. We were just talking about the weight distribution of the vessel, and that you have your engines and mid-mount, and that's the trim of the vessel, and then sort of the add-ons, the added stability, added trim is sort of the hull in its own right. And this is what I've seen through, driven enough Palm Beaches to know, mate. I'll be looking forward to driving one of these. But I've helmed enough Palm Beaches to know that, that stability is so integral to the way you design boats. And you don't, you could spin these things around and put engines further back and put a V drive and put a nice big stateroom through the middle, but that's just it's not. It's not part of the philosophy. We do get a few people will come in and go, oh, but why does a Riv or why does a Princess have more room? It's like, well, you've got white top sides, but these are, so Mark from a racing background, is performance driven. Even though it looks like a beautiful piece of furniture, it's still performance driven. They have fantastic fuel economy. And this boat's top speed's 30 knots. It cruises at about 25, and it might use about 130 litres an hour at 25 knots. Which for a boat this size, that's huge. It's pretty good. I did a little video piece that I recorded on the 55. I'm saying this one's got the the D13s with all the horsepower. It's probably the highest spec 55 you've done, the 55,
It is, We've done a couple to the States with the big engines.
A little bit heavier in the bump, but there's so much weight there. But 40 knots, that was ridiculous. But when we're cruising and just the engines are just sitting on the right efficiency of the turbo, all that sort of stuff, we're not running them too slow, they're just doing that. The litres per nautical mile and the litres per hour were that, we're running D13s, but we're not just throwing 50s, we're not just, money gunning 50s off the back of the boat.
No, I mean, I guess the the fuel efficiency is class leading, and it's because of the reason for me talking about, you know, the 50-50 weight distribution, the stability, and the build philosophy as well. Because there's no internal mouldings. Everything's structural. Everything's composite panel. So there's nothing that's along for the ride.
Okay. So on this one, are we running IPS or shaft?
Shaft.
Shaft's good. Well, you know I'm a fan of shaft drive boats, mate. Yeah, IPS are great. You know, if you're doing long haul stuff. I do prefer shafts. But you said they're all finished the same way. But these tops, mate, this is nuts. I mean, they've got light coming through marble here.
I know.
Seriously.
This is all, but again, owner spec. Everything about this boat is owner spec. You know, he has a very specific layout for his family.
I'm going to say something a little bit contentious. There's nothing about these boats that scream flash wanker.
No.
It's all very, you know, refined and really, you know, it's it's refined, and that's the thing. I've seen a little bit of I wouldn't say negative feedback, but just feedback, and people walking out in the foredeck and go, oh, there's just this little cushion out there, and there's not this big recessed thing, and this. You don't want this big recessed thing on the front of your boat if you're taking waves over the front. You know, the bow of these boats are built to ship water off, shed water off, tumble you home in some pretty nasty stuff, I'd imagine.
Dry boats.
Very dry.
There was a weather event in Sydney. And it blew the swells that big, it blew the windows out of Bondi icebergs. And an owner and I drove from Pittwater to Sydney Harbour. Probably shouldn't have been out in it, but we went out in it, and he didn't drop below 20 knots the whole way. And he just, right, we're going home. And it was possibly some of the hairiest stuff I've been in offshore, off that part of the coast. But the boat handled it all the way. So it wasn't. And
the heritage of Palm Beach, I was just saying on the 50. You know, it was 20 years ago. It was like, you'd say to people, what's your dream boat? And they'd go, oh, Palm Beach 50. You know, and it's still for me, if I could, I would. That's the thing. It's probably I'll end up in one at some stage. Shafts, obviously. So, but the heritage of Palm Beach has gone through these brands that Palm Beach has taken on and nurtured.
Well, we had a kind of Palm Beach got a lot of international recognition.
Of course it would.
And then Grand Banks, who weren't doing so well, acquired us in the IP, and then installed Mark Richards as their CEO. And then from there, he's revolutionised the whole brand, basically. We're all on now the same hull platform, same build philosophy throughout the range of the EB, the Grand Banks and the Palm Beach. So, and like speaking of performance driven, we've just launched a GT60 with twin jets. You know, that thing's about a 45 knot boat. There's the first GT50, actually got a photo of it the other day in the workshop, in the factory, and it's got outboards on it, and it'll possibly be a 50 knot boat.
Right, wow. So we're once again going from wakes to vapor trails. And
there's a lot of variation going on in the factory, but because of the way they're put together, it makes it possible. Well,
this is the thing. It's so you've got fuel efficiencies, but you're getting fuel efficiencies at high 20s and low 30s, right? In some of these boats. And I was saying to JW before, when I was over there with the Viking, do you remember when 30 knots was a fast boat? You know, and the cruising speed would be like 18, 16. But that was what amazed me about the 55, and was that getting up onto the plane is effortless, and just sitting at that consistent rev range. We're doing like 34 knots. And it's like, this is workable.
They don't crawl out of the hole either.
No.
The hull form. Due to that super fine entry and that sort of rolling dead rise angle that runs all the way aft. So we used to do sea trials. I used to sea trial every boat up in Malaysia, and you know, we would record at what point the water broke free from the transom and when we were technically on the plane. And it was all, you never felt it, you never dug in and then climbed out of the hole. It would just basically rise up and away you go.
And like yeah, if you're a salesman, you could tell me that, but having sensed it, I believe it.
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing.
I had the best job in the world. They'd give you a brand new boat and I'd take it out and thrash it, basically.
Yeah, shake it down. Yeah, that's it. And that's the thing. It's like that level of ongoing support, which is so critical. And the reason we're doing what we're doing is from being a boating instructor, getting on boats and finding right owner, wrong boat.
Yep.
Trying to put shattered dreams back together.
Yep.
Yeah, you've seen it all before, undoubtedly.
Yep.
And we're doing this through those sort of 5 key elements or 5 pillars of boat ownership and boat life, which is your area of operation, lifestyle expectation, your time that you've got to use it, your ease of use, and then your budget.
Yeah.
Right. So we won't talk numbers, but the thing is ease of use. What are the key things that you see that really help people with ease of use and across these brands? Because they're different. They offer different lifestyle platform options, I guess. But what across the brand? Because you've taken this hull form and you put it right across because the hull form works.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah, works in both IPS and shaft, which we love. What do you think is the ease of use factor for these boats?
Part of it starts with the handover procedure, in that every owner gets full boat instruction as much as they need. And then it goes on to the more physical, practical side of things with they're easily driven. They're good at low speeds, they're good at high speeds. Pretty much all of the boats come standard with, at the very least, bow thruster and twin screw.
Yeah.
And we always sort of make sure, like, you've always got a decent sight line. So we had someone come on this boat the other day and went, "Oh, it'd be really hard to park this." And I said, "No, come up here."
Yeah.
And if you stick your head out that door and use the EJS joystick, you've got a sight line right down to that back corner. You can put that back corner wherever you like. So it's the same across the range. That they are easy boats to drive. All our apprentices have to drive these boats.
Yeah, right.
Every single employee we have at our service yard,
Yeah.
they all have to drive the boats.
Yeah.
And they're not a difficult boat to drive. With the systems that they come with, it's pretty basic.
Yeah.
I say to people, I could teach you to park this boat in half an hour. They look at me like I'm an idiot, and I said, no.
Yeah. So I'd say most of our audience is the owner-operator.
Yep.
And that's what this is about. Like the 50 itself is a couple's boat. It really is designed, it's made for couple, it's just the way it is. You go long ranging for many, many nautical miles.
Yep.
But these are really owner-operator vessels, aren't they? They just, you can have a crew, but it's really...
Even when we get up into the Palm Beach 70s, there's not many people who have crew quarters. It seems to be a little bit more of an American thing sometimes, but Australia, New Zealand, pretty much 100% owner-operated.
Yeah. Having done instruction on the 55 with the owners and seeing how I'll be honest here, a lot of times I'll get on a boat as a boating instructor and say, "Oh, so how was the handover?" And I'll be opening cabinets and saying, "Oh, this is your water tank." "Oh, didn't see that." I've actually gone and opened engine rooms and they've said, "Oh, they're bigger than I would have thought." So what I was impressed by, and this is why we're here talking with you guys, is that they were informed. They knew where things were. They knew what they were, and they knew what they did. More importantly, all the components of their vessel. But that's really important. And it's like many years ago, people were like, "Ned, what are you doing teaching people how to drive boats? You should just be charging them to drive them for them." I'm like, no, because what I end up with is a really informed boat owner. So when we were on the first day, we do a really comprehensive vessel familiarisation. And it was one of the first times where I was sort of standing in one spot of the boat going, "Okay, let's check the such and such." And they're not following me around. They're going to those things first.
We spend a lot of time on that. Some owners want to know a lot more than others.
Yeah, that's right.
Some just want to get in and throw the throttles down and go.
Yeah.
We do make a conscious effort to make sure they're well informed. And make sure they have driver training. I mean, we even now are offering for owners of new boats and I've done a couple of these myself. If you want to go up to Malaysia, you go up to the factory. Our managing director will organise a trip up to the Tiemann Islands. They'll give you a skipper. They'll give you a representative. Sometimes it's myself, sometimes it's someone up in Malaysia. And they will familiarise you with that boat up there before you even get it delivered to the final destination. So it's just all about educating them, basically. And if it makes it smoother and, you know, and the owner happier, well, then we've succeeded. We had an owner of a smaller boat, a Palm Beach 42, and she had never owned a boat before, couldn't drive a boat. And we spent hours on driver education. And we didn't have a cut-off for it. We just said, no, as long as you need.
That's right. And this is why we don't, as in our space, we don't have a cut-off either, but it's also why we start at a minimum 10 hours. You know, because that's just what it has to be. Exactly. And so I gel with that. So, look, I guess the key thing is the support's there. That's the sort of thing, and you've got that community around you. So how many boats have you got in Victoria at the moment?
We've got, I think, it fluctuates because some go north, but we've got about 9 or 10. We're in contact with all of the owners. We have another one heading down in, we have a 55 heading down actually in about 3 months. Brand new build. More. And we've had a lot of inquiries actually from Melbourne. So we've had quite a few more down there.
Great. I will really appreciate your time, Allan. Thanks so much for spending this time with us. And we'll speak to you soon.
Thank you.
Cheers. Okay, happy boating. Bye.